Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we got ourselves a track from an act named The Spooky Bear, titled The Fading Frequency. And if we switch over to here, we got ourselves a track on Spotify with the art up on the screen here. Apparently this is a new series that the musicians involved are doing, collaboration with the vocalist. They're going to be releasing a total of 5 tracks. This is the first of them. We're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's do it, let's go. What have we got? I like how things are panned. I like how busy it is electronically. Use arises there. It's actually beautiful.
Tell me what do you know? And tell me what do you know? And tell me what do you know? And tell me what do you know?
It's just, the production is some of the best that I think that I've heard in quite a while. Like, genuinely. It's really beautiful in terms of the way the post has been handled with EQ and compression, the way things are presented, the panning, the automation, the use of risers, the actual interpretation of some of those instruments, especially that sub bass in the midsection, was wonderful. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named The Spooky Bear, titled The Fading Frequency. In this section, I'm going to be providing an overall song analysis of everything from lyrics and vocals all the way through studio production, as well as any applicable constructive critique, and then finally, my general thoughts from a listener's perspective. But first of all, what do we think this track is about? I think it's about the woman wanting to soar, fly high off of the music, and wanting to sort of get lost in it. And they're kind of asking what we know in terms of either how to find it or where to get that hit. And I think a lot of the kind of radio sounds that you hear through the track are more sort of trying to emphasize the fact that they're trying to find that frequency. You know, they're searching for it. The clittering and clattering of different sort of like metallic elements in the background is sort of insinuating that, I think. It's kind of a minimalist experience in terms of the vocals, not because, like, at least from a lyrical perspective, like you've got definitely got stuff going on, like some interesting sort of melodies and sort of harmonies there, and it's got this kind of dubbish sort of aesthetic there that I think has got this warmth, and it's very relaxed sounding. We're very comfortable, by the way, in a head and chest voice. We sing really neatly. We've got really solid vocal technique. And we clearly are adept at singing within the style of music that we're oscillating on top of. The singer also does a fantastic job at being a part of the mix itself, though. They're not trying to stand out too much. That's in part a production decision as well, which we'll get into later. But ultimately, I just feel like we handled ourselves on the mic, played the role that we needed to, helped guide the listener a little bit, but didn't overexert ourselves, so overstay our welcome. I mean, outside of the really competent vocal performance, with the lyrics, they make sense with the style of vocal, and the expression made sense with the style of music. We've just got the track itself at 3 minutes 15, which is wonderfully lush, with a variety of different elements and ingredients there. We have some verses and choruses and instrumental breaks and some sort of brash kind of solos, kind of a trumpet solo going on there, as well as other fun sort of synthetic and electronic elements that litter and decorate it in a way that's very satisfying. You have this compelling bass line, for example, which kind of plays a melody that is kind of setting the scene for everything else. And often bass guitars are very sort of like set to the root notes, but they don't need to be in situations like this. It's not a set sort of state for a bass guitar, for example. Just the fact that we're allowed to sort of explore our fretboard and establish a theme there is really cool. And you've also got the pad on top of that. There's just so much from the get-go. There's this kind of spacey, ethereal kind of tonality to that noise there that niches really neatly with the bass and doesn't interfere with what it's trying to accomplish. And as we get into the kind of tape clattering and the full drum kit coming in there, really well voiced drum kit, by the way, very comfortable with the variety of different quarters, eighths and sixteenths, and occasional triplets we have, though those are in part sort of like communicated by some of the synthesizers. I think we have some fun sort of 16th triplet fills as well on the toms, which are great. But it's just kind of cool how even when there's kind of these random wheel kind of sounds there, it's like everything else is so calm and chill for the most part that it allows space for it to be a bit random, and it just seems like it's part of the process. Even the those triplets I mentioned with the synthesizer there, it's almost like because there's so much legato sort of whole notice stuff going on there, you can allow a different rhythm and it doesn't interfere. And there's ambient syncopated parts on the drums as well. Some like interesting sort of like kick and snare patterns there with the hi-hats. It's absolutely sort of like stellar vibe-wise. And there are different types of drum tones in different kits, I think. We're not just staying with the one drum kit the entire time. And I think that's sensible. You can explore different percussive textures, it's okay. But when that bass comes in, it's interesting when we talk about going so high, the vocals almost seem higher because of the bass line underneath. And they've picked the right key signature to allow those lower synths to be resonant and really satisfying in the headphones. And that's just experience. When the brass comes in, it's got this kind of smoky tone there that has a lush sort of like, a really sort of like fragrant reverb tail there, and it's kind of like you're in a jazz bar or something like that. It's almost like a dream state. And we have interesting interpretations of things there where it almost seems like we're kind of going out of things. Part of it's because of the use of these risers and these really satisfying return to a loop with these kicks being nice and strong but grounded. And we don't have the drums, and we have like the music box, this kind of stuff around 2 minutes 45 there. There's still enough going on throughout the frequency spectrum for it not to feel empty or void. And you can kind of hear the track kind of quieting itself without being too blunt or aggressive about it there, simply by taking stuff away and allowing the wisp to sort of fade into the ether, with those final sort of like scans taking place, those squealy sounds there ushering more of an understanding of what the track is about and the story you've been told. But it's this like articulation, this kind of double story that's going on between the person trying to find a frequency, maybe the spooky bear, and then the singer kind of like talking to them or singing to them as they do it. It's just neat. There's a nice chemistry and cohesion between the elements there. It's like the producer and the vocalist having a conversation together. And there's other era candy-ish kind of bits outside of the rises and other elements I mentioned. It's just, there's a lot. I need multiple listens to really sort of like take more of it in. But just thematically, it's minor oriented, I think, maybe because of the feeling of loss of not having found that frequency. But I don't think it's a track which is trying to be sad for the sake of being sad. It's like a chill kind of sad there. But what they do so well, I think this is just textures and timbres as opposed to chord choices or harmony, is that it still sounds so relaxed because there's no sort of harsh textures trying to sort of like poke at you, even though some of the kind of glitchiness there with the synthetic electronic electronic kind of machine layers maybe are a little bit kind of pointed. It's nothing that's too intense. And the vocal style is so sweet sounding and soothing that it completely sort of like, it anesthetizes it. But not in a way where it loses a sense of groove and sort of like glow. It's just a very well-designed track. But yeah, no, the minor leading makes sense considering the subject matter, but it's I like the nuance there. Studio recording, mixing, and mastering. Again, as I mentioned before, probably one of the best examples of post-production I've heard in a track recently. The EQing, compression, panning decisions, it just sounds so pristine. We're so adept at niching things within their position within the stereo field and frequency spectrum. There's no word resonant frequencies. The transfers between parts and the way we sort of like have a bit of extra oomph between parts is just commercial grade. There is definitely dynamic range. Nice and loud, bit of pumping, bus compression, limiting is handled, but it's just the actual sounds we've used in the recorded takes are exquisite. We clearly understand what we're doing. And if this is what we've got for the first track, I feel a sense of promise and ease about the remaining four. So no applicable constructive critique. I mean, clearly the lady who's singing, they can clearly sing. They sing really well. And the way they were layered and put around the stereo field and the way they're kind of like harmonized each other was exquisite. And the use of Foley again with the sort of like robot kind of radio sounds was awesome. From a general listener's perspective, I listened to this and I think, how could we go further from here? And I think that actually there is an open pathway. It's trying to find that sound we're looking for. Maybe the spooky bear is trying to find the singer, help the singer find that sound that they're looking for, in which case this makes a lot of sense as the opening piece. Sometimes you can have songs and the subject matter is closed because they haven't given enough leeway for there to be an additional thing afterwards. They've just kind of not thought ahead past the first track. They're going, okay, that's it, that's the tale. But if you want to go further with music, it can be helpful, at least in part, to establish a continuous narrative. But ultimately, I enjoyed my time with this track. Thank you for watching my review of the song from an act named The Spooky Bear, titled The Fading Frequency, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias and their Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.